So welcome to this talk about how Camp want to revolution the healthcare last mile logistic using connected device. It's our last innovation that I have the honor to present you today. So summary of this presentation. So first of all, we will review together what is the healthcare logistic exactly. We will see the current situation in the healthcare industry, how they are actually dealing with this process. We will shortly review the solution and how the proposed solution we have is working. I will make a project status to give you a bit a vision on the timeline on this project. That is an ongoing project currently. And then we will dive a little bit in the system, showing you some screens and some behavior so you can get yourself a picture of how this system is going to work. So first of all, a little few words on Camp. So it's an IT company with a European outreach. We are Gold partners since 16 years today, so quite of a long time. The company exists since 20 years. It has always been in the open source world, and we today have 5 offices in Switzerland, France, and Germany, with a total of a little bit more than 150 employees at date. We did not make this project alone, so we had a chance to have a world-class medical logistic company, Cosanom, based in Switzerland, that helped us in designing this project. And it's really a joint work and a very thriving adventure that I have the honor to present you today. So let's start with the healthcare logistic. What is exactly the healthcare logistic and what it is about, what are the challenges that are linked to this specific aspect of logistics. I found this definition useful to define what is healthcare logistics. So efficiently deliver medical supplies and care products to the patient. So that's what healthcare logistics is about. You have to keep in mind that the logistic within the healthcare sector is one of the most important part of the budget. So after the staff cost, the medical supply are the single most expensive component of the healthcare sector. I wanted to give you some context about what it is, what are we talking about with this last mile logistic. So a few context here. So for, at least in Switzerland, in the context of Switzerland, a typical hospital will have between 10 and 80 different storage rooms that will be spread across different floors, maybe sometimes even in different buildings. Those different rooms will definitely host several thousands of product references, so different products, so many products. They are resupplied every day, some rooms even many times a day. And you can imagine how many people are involved in the resupply of those different storage rooms, which leads obviously to many manual operations. So there's quite a big challenge in the last mile logistic in the hospital in general. And we will see a little bit what they are. So first of all, we said many different storage rooms spread across different geographical area of the hospital, thousands of product references, several touch points, so many different persons involved in chain until we get the job done. And one of the big issues we have is the stock visibility, I mean the real stock. So we bring some goods in those storage room, but nobody monitors the actual stock that we have at the current moment. So nobody can tell what is exactly the number of this or that product that we currently have and where, as a nurse, I will find the product that I need. So we can imagine with all this that the cost of the last mile delivery in this context occupy a major fraction of the total cost of delivery in the healthcare industry. So let's see what the current situation looks like today. So this is a very simplified diagram to show you a little bit how this resupply process is actually handled today. So first of all, as we imagine, the nurse will go and pick up product as they need it. And then we will have dedicated persons that will go and visit every storage rooms, multiple times a day, checking, counting every of those thousands products to check what is missing, noting on sheet of paper how many of that product is needed in this room, and so on. They will have to report all those notes in a system. So usually it's the main ERP of the company. So there is a manual entry of what is missing for each and every room. Then the purchase team will actually run the purchase process, procuring to vendors what they need, but also sourcing some of those needs from a main central warehouse to deliver them in the final storage rooms. In the end of this process, when we get all the goods, there is someone that will have to catch up all that and go back to each and every storage room to place and put away all those products on the right place. So, as you can imagine, it's very time-consuming. So, just visiting all those storage rooms multiple times a day takes a hell of a lot of time. Counting every of these products is also taking a lot of time. You can also picture that it's error-prone. I mean, many errors could be lead from the beginning of this process until the very end due to the number of references and all the manual steps that are in between. Also, there is so many products in those rooms that sometimes it's even difficult to spot a missing one. And after all, we have the lack of visibility. And that's true for two kind of key users here. So the nurse don't know if there is a procurement ongoing for a certain product. So there's no feedback at all. There's no visibility for the people that want to use those products. When will be the next resupply? And it's also a problem for the procurement team, as they don't know the real stock level that is around in each of the storage rooms. They cannot tell actually how much of this product they currently have. And so you can imagine that if you have to do your job in such a conditions, it's really not so easy. So the concept of this project is actually to automate the counting part of the product and the encoding of every order for every room. And we can also imagine that for small companies, small hospital or elderly home, we could imagine also automating the purchase, but that's maybe the cherry on the cake. Then, of course, one major improvement that this will lead is that we will know the stock in the real time for each and every product and in each of the storage places. So, the proposed solution. So here you have an example. So we have actually two solutions. One is based on the smart label with two buttons. And in this case, the procurement will be manually activated by the nurse. And one is held by some IoT devices which are scales connected through a cloud service. We'll review this later on. And by simply removing the product, it will trigger, if needed, the resupply of that product in that very room. So before you can actually do this, there is a few setups. So just to picture you what are your tasks in order to actually be able to use this system. So you will have to first, of course, sync your master data with the main ERP. We can imagine thousands of products, vendors, and such alike. You have to map the storage room inside Odoo. So inside Odoo, we'll see those are warehouses, so one warehouse per storage room. You have to configure your business rules. So what are the triggering points for this product or that product? Eventually, you have some calendar of supplies. Maybe some rooms are resupplied every week. Maybe some rooms are on resupply every day. So this you can all configure inside the Odoo system. And finally, of course, you need to physically place all those labels and all those scales in the different storage room of the hospital. So we have here a little before-after. So on the left, that was before the implementation of this system, and on the right, after this, that we have implemented it. So just visually, we can already see that it makes a difference. It's much cleaner, much more organized, and probably much more easier to actually use and consume the product and also put them away. So the new process, the nurse will get and consume the product. If she thinks it's time and it's a smart label at the end of the product, she could press a button and that will trigger automatically the procurement. If it's on a scale, they just pick up what they need and the scale will actually trigger the procurement based on the order point, standard order point of Odoo with min-max rules, so nothing magic here, except it's automatically triggered. Then we have an EDI system that will push the document from Odoo to the main hospital ERP automatically, so there's no manual encoding, it directly reaches the ERP of the hospital. and the feedback is getting on the nurse that pushed the button, and she knows an order is ongoing, the delivery date is scheduled for next week, and everything, thanks to the label we have, or the same occurs for the scales. Just for you to understand a bit the architecture, so Odoo is connected to 3 main endpoints. So one is the vendor. This is optional. So Odoo could send directly purchase order to the vendor directly. It's connected to the main hospital ERP to distribute the purchase order. This is the main channel. And it's connected to Sepio. So Sepio is a reliable cloud service that is intended to manage hundreds of thousands of IoT devices. It's used in the supermarket industry. We choose it because it's a very scalable solution and very reliable one. And this is Sepio that will communicate to an access point that we see here. And the access point have a special communication channel to each and every IoT device. So then, when this is set up, Odoo is really abstracting Sepio complexity, and you really have a business interface in front of you that you are probably used to use inside an Odoo environment. So it's a friendly user interface, easy to administer, and this is where you handle really the business logic. So it abstracts the complexity of Sepio discussing with the physical equipment. So the project status. So a few histories. So back in the day in 2019, we had the first trial. So this is Kozanam that held it. They used ARIMS and Bossard system. It's a system that is used usually to monitor screws. And the goal of it was to actually prove the sector that this mechanism could work in the healthcare. And it does, but as healthcare is a bit different from counting screws, we took some conclusion of it, and one of it was to produce their own material. So Kozanam is now producing their own scale and their own label. We review a little bit further why. So today, what is important that we have a pilot running for the scales and the scale for the smart label, sorry, and for the scale, the development has started, and we have the first prototype running today. So for the future, in 2023, we will have a second pilot that will actually use the scale in the real context, and will be ready in 2024 for worldwide solutions. So we will first tackle the Swiss market that we know well. So a few words on the tailored device. So for the label, the main reason we had to deal with the new label is for a longer battery life, and that we needed 2 buttons to interact. That was the feedback for the usage of the first ARIM material, a Bossard material. And for the balances, we wanted a higher reliability over time. We needed real-time management, so the scales for Bossard has like some delay, sometimes some days, and we needed shorter response time. And also, they fit standard shelf, so it seems stupid, but you know, all the shelves are standard logistic shelves. Those one is exactly the size of it, and it's much more convenient to set it up. So as features, it's very easy to start. So the access point will auto-discover. So you bring all the label in your rooms, you set it up everywhere, and then the access point will retrieve and automatically catch all the access, the IoT device you have. So you don't need to load them all and configure everything. All you have to configure is, of course, your different rooms. It's easy to use. As I said, Odoo will abstract the Sepio complexity. We have some automation, thanks to this trigger with the ordering point, and also the EDI flow that synchronizes the document with your main ERP. You get livestock information inside Odoo, so you know exactly which product has what many quantity inside your storage room everywhere in your building. And it's multi-company ready, so one instance of Odoo could manage several hospitals or elderly home in only one place. So for retail system showcase, there I go a bit quickly. So just for the setup, so you could sync everything that Sepio has retrieved for every access point, and this goes all in Odoo. That's the first step to do for the setup. Then you will create your storage room, one warehouse per storage room you have in a hospital. Configure or not your reordering calendar for each of those rooms. Some rooms resupplied every week, some every day. And there you will configure your label. So for each label, of course, you need to know which is the product that you want to display here, how many of it you want to actually stock at this position. So very basic setups. And then you will use the standard replenishment view from Odoo to see the status of a given room, and you will have the status of the ordering. Is it a low stock? Is it an RFQ emitted? Is it a confirmed PO and goods are ongoing? So this is really your overview per room where you can actually monitor everything that's going on. So now I had to put this on slides. If you wanted to see it live, you can come to the Chem2Chem booth near the entrance. It's too small for you to read. So I placed this just for you to imagine. So when you want it, there's a little cart. If the nurse needs some product, we're using the smart label, she just pushed on this button. And she got a confirmation that there is a request. It turns black, and you know the estimated delivery date. What's going on in Odoo here is that it creates a draft PO inside Odoo per vendor and per room. So that is, you can choose how you will set it up. Then when you will actually confirm the delivery date, that occurs when you confirm the purchase order. So inside Odoo, the same workflow as usual. You confirm your purchase. This will send a feedback to the label. And you will get this little truck that informs the nurse that the goods have been ordered, and you know when the resupply will occur in this very room. Right? So it's really a per room information. If there is any delay, you can simply update the schedule date of the reception inside Odoo, and this will automatically update the dates of the reception here, and it came red. That's to inform the nurse that there have been a delay in the supply chain. When the nurse will receive the goods, she can confirm the reception pushing the button when she places back the goods there. And that will, of course, I think you get it, it will confirm the reception inside Odoo. And by this, it will close the reception and the purchase order. Couple of side cases that you can manage. So in this use case, it was sometimes proved by reality that we need a bit more product than we used to use usually. So you can order double by clicking 2 times the button, or you can obviously cancel an operation if you tick the wrong product. With the scale, it works very same as I explained. Just the difference, you push no button. You have the very same information on the label, but all you have to do is to pick up the goods and place the good back, and the system will actually drive the whole flow I've explained with the PO and the reception. It's just the scale will do it. You don't even need to push any button. So as a conclusion, I think this automation really brings the healthcare sector in the 21st century using those IoT devices. It definitely helped to reduce the costs that are linked to all those many manual operations that we have today. And also it makes it independent from the people know-how, right? The system is handling it. Then it makes the process very reliable. So there is a permanent system monitoring. So that results in a very minimal source of errors. And I think the most important point here is that it shifts to a data-based warehouse management system. So this is probably the biggest shift that this system brings, right? You have the data, you know how many of these products consumed in this room, so you start questioning why in that room you consume 2 times this amount of that product, whereas in the other room you consume half of it. Maybe it's better to improve a bit the capacity in the first room and all those things. And last but not least, for the procurement team, they have live stock information. Everybody knows that information is the key success factor in the logistics and in the supply chain. So it definitely helped nurse and doctor to get the feedback about what they got the goods. It helped the procurement team to really supply it properly. And I think we can definitely conclude that such a system definitely helps in delivering the needed product to the patient in an efficient manner. So I'm done. I hope you enjoyed the talk. You're welcome to join me on the booth if you want a live demo of it. It was a bit too complicated here with all the plugs. So system is ready if you want to get a show demo. And I don't know if you have any questions. Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
I'm from the healthcare business, and I know that my question is, I had a lot of questions. Which one, the nurses, somebody work like in a Schlaraffenland, you know, they put all the goods from the scale, and which do you choose? Which one is the best in the hospital?
Between what you mean? Between the smart label or the scale?
Yeah, or somebody like to order, they want to do it, or somebody take it.
It depends also on the storage room place.
Okay.
Right, so in a small place you like to get a label. If you
Yeah.
have very short stocks, it's easy to order the double. If you have a bit more space, you would prefer to set up the wall scales. It depends on the typology of the product as well.
Yeah.
And we realize that not everything is good to put on a scale.
Okay.
For different reasons. For example, for the C-ring, it's very practical to get scales, but when you have some very handy things like this, maybe you prefer a smart label and get the freedom to order twice if it's needed. So it's really a matter of taste from the nurse in this context.
Okay. Who puts the goods on the shelf?
Well, this is really linked to every hospital operation. So it could be a stock keeper that goes with a trolley and fill up the storage room. It could be the nurse as well. So that depends a bit on the size of the hospital as well. So in the small ones, most of the time the nurse will resupply, and in the biggest one, you probably have a stock keeper doing it.
You structurize first in the consulting process. How many space do you need for maybe for this pharmacy like this?
I mean, this is exactly the same size than a paper label. So we don't need more space actually, right? It's a bit more organized, but we don't need more space than in a current situation that an hospital will have.
Okay.
And that's why also we had these custom tailored scales to fit the standard shelf. So that's really useful also to save space. And that connected with magnets, so you only have one power supply and they will supply all the line. So it's as easy as it can to be set up. It works much better with raw product that you pick up, right? If you will pick up only boxes, you better use video. That's maybe for our next R&D challenge, because one camera can actually see that you pick one box. But if you pick one syringe or three at the same time, the video will not catch it. That's why we needed the scale. Next challenge with the video.
Thank you.
Regarding the livestock levels, can I imagine it like that each time someone picks the product or puts it back, that in this moment the scale automatically triggers an inventory adjustment in Odoo?
Yes, that's what occurs, but here also we learn by practice. So if I just do this and I take the wrong product, nothing happens. So we voluntarily delay a little bit. So if the person took just to see the label, read something, put it back, then we don't want to create millions of moves for nothing. So actually the difference of weight will only be sent a few minutes after to just be sure you removed it. And when you put it back the very same, you have to wait a few minutes, since the system will actually take the new weight and increase the stocks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You show a picture with change of the organization, how the storage is done. So how much does it improve or impact the way people are working? Because you know that you've got normally a central warehouse in a hospital, and then for each unit it has its own storage. And as you move to certain areas, like as you're getting closer to the operating room, you've got less and less storage space. And from the picture I saw, I was wondering if you're using more space or not, and you're changing also the process. Because, for instance, if a surgeon is doing an operation, he has normally a routine and he knows all kind of products he will use.
Yeah, I think this is not intended to be in the surgery room, right? So this is really for the storage room. So all the little rooms that you have a bit on any floor of the hospital where you will store, also care product like such alike. It's not intended to be in the surgery room, right? For that, Kozanam has another solution that I think I will be pleased to speak about, but that has nothing to do with the scales in itself, right? So I don't know if it answered the question.
So when the supplier delivers to you, you then need to resupply the storage rooms. Does the solution implemented also address this use case?
Yes, so basically that will tell Odoo what are the stock situation in the storage room. According to the business rule in the other point, it's going to trigger a purchase order to resupply. And this purchase order goes in the main hospital ERP, and there the procurement team need to source it. So either they decide to purchase it from the vendor, or they need to decide to actually source it from the main warehouse of the hospital. And then it's when the goods will get on the final place that we update the stock from what the people have done, either by confirming on the label or putting on the right scale. So it will actually handle the two cases, yes.
One more question. I can imagine that in this branch, normally all components or our products are either serial or batch tracked, which I guess then are reserved by FIFO principle. But if you use such a thing, you cannot really ensure which serial or batch number is then picked.
No, I don't think that is not suited for the lot. If you would have, for example, I don't know, expensive product that are tracked by a unique serial number, then you will go for RFID tracking. And that is for all other products. And I think the reason why we started there is this is the major part of the volume you have to move in a hospital, right? So that's why we started there.
I'm sorry, we'll have to stop it here because we have to get ready for the next presentation.
Okay.
But
So
thank you very much.
For those of you who want more, go to our booth. Thank you.